Joining us here for an extra tasting notes, he's one of the founders of Cardenxe Sotol. Did I say that right?
You did say it right, close? Indeed. Very right.
And when push comes to shove, I guess when the camera's on, I can do well. Please welcome in Luigi Ambrosi.
Hey guys. Hi everyone. Hi Jonathan.
Well, I'm glad you could join us, Luigi. And for those that, if you're catching this on the Main Bar Conversations podcast, you're probably getting the shorter version. But if you want to see the full interview here, just go to our Facebook, YouTube page to check out the video. Info is in the podcast description, because we're talking about something pretty cool with Cardenxe. I feel like I had to get the facial expressions, or otherwise this was never going to work on me pronouncing it.
It's a whole experience. Pronouncing the brand is a whole experience in and of itself. Even before.
I love it. I've got a smile already, and we'll be talking about a different Mexican spirit called Sotol. Did I say that right?
Sotol, yes.
Sotol. And it's a very cool thing, and it's cool to see what you all did and your journey to it. But before I even get into all of that, let's talk a little bit about you and what drew you to the alcohol beverage industry, because it's a crazy industry to jump into.
It is a crazy industry indeed. It was actually after I graduated from university, I started working in the beverage industry. I was working for a large company, which we probably all know, which is Campari USA, based out of New York. I was doing trade marketing there, and really kind of just fell in love with all that the industry is and does. The real opportunity to create trends and do the most amazing creative projects within marketing and sales and activations. Is something that I always that I grew very passionate about, and I have to say, like my first boss at Campari once told me, once in the liquor industry, always in the liquor industry. So I guess I'm stuck here after his after his omen, but no, I love it, and everything kind of fell into place, and lo and behold, I launched my own brand after a few years.
Well, and did that brand really start on a trip to Mexico, but not maybe for a liquor, but for an old time kind of music genre down there? Is that kind of how it started?
Yeah, it's kind of, yeah. So basically, I worked in liquor, then I also started working in music. I've always been a musician, and I created as a side gig, let's say, a record label through which we promote different types of music and organize events. And from that, when the pandemic came, I decided I wanted to sort of take a step back and go study traditional and indigenous music all over the world, or at least attempt to do that. And I have a very close friend, Mexican friend, who I've known for many years. Her name is Nitzan, and she is actually my business partner right now in this project. She calls me up telling me that she found in Mexico a music genre that's near extinct, totally up my alley. I have to come see it with her. I think she read it. She saw a Vice segment on it. So I said, okay, I'm coming. Yeah, count me in. So we went. And while we were there, we went to these musicians. They live in Durango. So just a quick kind of parallel. Sotol is the typical spirit of northern Mexico. It's been made from the Sotol plant that grows in northern Mexico for centuries. And so in Durango, Chihuahua, and Coahuila, these are the regions. So these musicians, they live in Durango. We were there, and while we were in their kind of in their village and in the region where they live, I got to try Sotol for the first time. Now, my business partner knew about it. She's in the tequila. She's been in the tequila business for years. She's a tequilera, and so she said, oh yeah, you have to try this. This is the local. This is what the locals drink. The Cardencheros, the singers from the Canto Cardenche, were offering us. They say, drink this before the performance. It'll help us open the heart. So, okay, yeah, I love that. especially because the canto cardenche is a very viscerally emotional music. It's all about sort of like the primal need of releasing your deep emotions and expressing them. And they definitely say that the drinking Sotol helps with that. I tried it. I don't know if it was the context or the flavor or a mixture of both, but I fell absolutely in love with this drink. And I realized that, even coming from the liquor background, I hadn't really stumbled upon it, and I was looking where to find it in the US. Very hard to find. I said, look, I want to learn more about this. And that's sort of how it all started. And from there, we took off, went on after having a bid farewell to these great musicians, we went for 2 months traveling across all of northern Mexico with my friend, Nitzan. And we decided to sort of learn how to make Sotol, how it is, what it is really, and meet all the different distillers to sort of see what could have been done.
Well, I love that, because it is kind of interesting sometimes how a drink can, have just lead you on an interesting journey regardless, let alone something like this. And even the name Cardenxe has a very special meaning, right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I guess it's a twofold meaning. I think that we definitely wanted to honor the message of this music, which is the need to unleash our deep emotions. And it's something that Sotol, the mystical drunk, we could say the mystical high from Sotol, is not, a lower or a sort of like depressant like some others that we still like to drink. It's very much uplifting and makes you happy, makes you very comfortable, makes you want to share with other people. That's something that we notice on firsthand drinking and becoming friends with all these northern rancheros and people that we met along the way on our trips, really rogue places. I'll tell you, like some of these people we had nothing in common except for the language that we communicated, and at the beginning I wasn't even too good at that. Now I pride to say that I became fluent, yeah, so we wanted to honor this message. We wanted to honor this music that's kind of like near extinct, and help through our brand also these musicians grow. I actually just came back from their village last week. I was working with them. We're putting together a plan to record an album with them, and we're organizing a few events in Mexico City and hopefully in the US soon. I just need to sort them a visa, which I know sometimes is not the easiest thing. But
just a little difficult, just almost as difficult, I'm sure, as the.
Yeah, so we, similarly to El Canto Cardenche, Sotol also risked getting lost in time. Sotol has a very intricate history. It was very popular during Prohibition. It was actually being smuggled across the border when all the bootleggers were going to Chihuahua to buy whiskey, bring it to Texas, bring it to Arkansas. What was that casino city in Arkansas? I forget now, but I heard some stories. Anyway, they were bringing it across the border, and with whiskey, they were bringing Sotol because that's sort of like the local product that is made there. And when there was the crackdown on Prohibition, a lot of these distilleries were kind of deemed illegal. It was actually technically illegal to make Sotol until the 90s again. And some of them were burnt to the ground. Some of them were forced to do it in secrecy. So Sotol really just ended up being something of the local community. You would go with your jug, fill it up from your local, town Sotol maker, El Sotolero, and just, have your stash for your house. It was rarely kind of like a commercial spirit that was being sold. But the new generation, so I would say that there's, the grandparents, our grandparents' generation that sort of was making it. And then our parents' generation sort of, because of the stigma that during Prohibition it was sort of cracked down upon, there was a little bit of a negative connotation associated to it. And there was almost like a generational leap. So, our parents' generation, they didn't want to continue this business. They went off. They were dreaming of becoming engineers and, doctors and these more standard, non-artisanal professions. which we all very much need. And so kudos to that. But the new generations, our generation, decided that they wanted to revive, this tradition, and I'm right here to help them and sort of like reinfuse life into this almost forgotten art. So that's sort of why we decided also to use the name Cardenxe.
It's a great meaning, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, where it comes from a very specific kind of region, or at least that's where it's kind of found its home, is in northern Mexico. But it can basically be produced anywhere in Mexico, right? Just with the right plant and ingredients, or what is kind of the base for it? Because everyone knows agave for tequila, but for Sotol, it's different.
Yes, it is. So tequila, mezcal is made from agave. There's different types of agave, of course, we know that. Sotol is actually the name of the plant, and it's an endemic. It's not actually an agave plant. It's like a little palmilla. Imagine a yucca palm without a trunk. So like a little palmilla. That's also another way in which people call it palmilla. They call it desert spoon, but really the scientific name is Dacilirion. But the Sotol, as it's commonly known, is a plant endemic to the northern regions of Mexico, Chihuahua, Durango, Coahuila, spilling into the Texan, because southern Texas is the part of the Chihuahua Desert, so there's Sotol plants there as well. But actually, there is a Consejo Regulador that sort of like dictates the practices and delineates the region into which you produce, you can, in theory, produce Sotol and call it Sotol, just like it is for tequila in the tequila region. And that, the region for that is Durango, Chihuahua, and Coahuila. And now, while you may find here and there scattered little patches of Sotol plants around Mexico, not very frequent, I will say. If you do find, typically the taste profile is completely different from what Sotol might taste like. And it's not even called that. Sotol has a very unique sweetness and grassy herbality to it. And that comes from the extreme temperature changes that you have in the north, very cold winters, very warm summers, days and night excursion as well. So that really plays a lot. And of course, the terroir itself, the soil on which it grows.
Well, and then, so you've basically also kind of said there's a major difference on what it is from tequila and mezcal. But for those wondering about the taste, because, tequila, everyone kind of knows what tequila tastes like. Mezcal's a little on the smokier side. But what about the Sotol? How does it play against those two that might be more common for folks?
I will say Sotol is a very unique experience. When you taste it, it really is something you haven't quite tasted before, and it's a whole flavor journey. On the tongue is quite different than when it hits the palate, and then when it hits your chest. It's very smooth, I will say that. It is somewhere in between tequila and mezcal. It's not as complex and smoky as mezcal, but it is much more aromatic than tequila, with a very signature vegetal, floral flavor profile. That, to me, that's why sometimes I refer to it as the gin of the agave world. That's something I like to say, because these botanical elements and the nature of how it gets mixed in cocktails, it gets mixed a lot in sort of known gin cocktails like martinis and negronis, and this sort of, it pairs very well with other liqueurs and floral elements. And again, that is the general profile of Sotol. Then the terroir of Sotol actually plays a huge role, even more so than in other spirits, I would say. So, for example, right now we have on the market two varieties, from Desierto and from Sierra, which is the forest of the mountains. Desierto, I don't know if you had the chance to try it. A little drier, got sweet cocoa notes on the palate, some minerality, some hints of cooked piña smoke. I mean,
they're both very different from each other. Very different. That was not what I was expecting.
Yeah. Same plant, same process, just different terroir. The Sierra is much more earthy and herbal and wet forest vibe.
But yeah, because when it's just sitting here, you get a lot of those floral, those kind of grassy. I don't know, well, it doesn't hurt that I'm standing in front of all my wife's plants, but that's not what I'm smelling when I had opened these. It's very, like you said, it does have a little bit of that gin feeling in the sense of the botanicals and that kind of realm that it's living in. But the La Sierra is vastly different than the Deserto. That is amazing, and it goes to show you how climates and just where things are grown can change. And I guess and so you just have those two products at the moment.
Yes, we actually right now we have those two, and we are working on a third variety that's gonna be the Pradera. So that's another thing I was looking at when I was just now in Mexico. So we're gonna have 3 in 2023, hopefully more down the line. The idea is the more we explore, the more we discover, the more we share with the world. Really this has been, and I think it's something that hopefully can be transcended when you drink the product, but has really been a project of passion, of discovery, of adventure. We went to Mexico, we still are going, venturing in all these remote places, learning, discovering, meeting people. It's not one of those, it's not an easy thing because Sotol is not a known category. So it's not easy to implement a brand. And really, it's been a whole beautiful adventure to create this. And I want to continue the adventure and have more varieties.
Well, the adventure is always part of the fun, but I feel like for you too, being able to educate folks is got to be awesome. And how has that gone? Because this is a completely different thing than most Americans are probably used to ever seeing.
Yeah, it's definitely it's not easy at first. I will say I need to have a very strong allies, which are the bartenders. I've been, lucky enough that in the bartender community, it's a very well accepted product. Everybody's really excited about it. It's sort of like the next frontier of Mexican spirits, which everyone from the consumer to the mixologist is excited about. And it's very easy to mix cocktails with. So I've been getting a lot of good feedback from them and a lot of help. There's a lot of upselling the product on their end to their customers, and a lot of placing it in cocktail programs on menus. That certainly helps because that's sort of like where the people have the opportunity to drink it. But the other side of the coin, obviously I can't educate everyone straight away alone. So I decided to sort of hone in on a certain community that I know, that I'm exposed to, that I think we can create a subculture within, which is the art and the music community. So, we designed, first of all, our inspiration comes from music, and that is sort of my background. So we try to always, yes, there you go. We designed the bottle like that in a very artistic way to sort of invoke and sort of like talk to the people that have an appreciation for art and sort of draw them in. So I would say that we are present at a lot of music venues, music-focused venues, and a lot of music festivals. We've been at a few music festivals since our launch, and we are in several events in New York, in Mexico City, in Miami. And we also try to pop up within all the major art fairs, Miami Art Basel, Zona Maco in Mexico, Freeze New York, and sort of collaborate both on doing our own events and with all this community of traveling art aficionados and people that work in this sort of world, as well as partnering with galleries on curating exhibitions. We just did one, a Wild West themed exhibit here in New York, actually, which is ending this week, which was very cool. We even built a saloon, Sotol bar inside, and we had all this amazing art. It was amazing. So that's sort of, so we're trying to create a subculture within these two community of people that are very creative and very open to trying new things, and sort of can and very vocal about it too, and hopefully can spread their message to all their friends And that's sort of how we build a little bit and how we educate. And I think that these are the two important things, sort of creating subculture and getting a bartender's trust. Those are the two main things that I've been sort of working on.
Well, I was gonna say the cocktail world is probably the easiest introduction. And what are some good recipes that you recommend folks if they ever do get their hands on some Cardenxe Sotol to try a recipe with?
Yeah, there's from the simplest to the most intricate, or vice versa. I mean, you can totally have you can sub it in most classic, as I say, classic gin cocktails. You could make a classic Negroni or a white Negroni. You could make a martini as well. It goes really well on a more simple note with lemon, freshly squeezed lemon, not lime. Lemon is even better. And soda water and lemon, delicious. That's, for the simple, let's just drink all night type of thing if you don't want something on the rocks. So a little bit of freshly squeezed lemon juice. We have some, it goes well in a margarita, of course. And so that's one thing. It pairs, typically, you can be assured that it goes very well with other liqueurs. So, if you mix it with an Aperol or a Campari or a Lillet from France, this Nixta liqueur even from Mexico, is really, when you pair it with that, and then another ingredient that goes amazingly well with Sotol, especially Sotol de Desierto, is hibiscus water. So agua de Jamaica, as they call it in Mexico. But that, and I know there's a few mixer brands on the market already, and I've been doing some events with them. But even if you want to make it homemade, delicious. And I know some bars in New York now have on their menu Sotol with hibiscus infusion, like already infused, and it's working very well. So those are some of the recipes you could make, and then there's more on our website that are a little bit more intricate that you could walk through.
I like it. Another adventure for folks.
And also, I will say, I'm also, this is a more recent thing I forgot to say because I've been recently promoting it. I call it the new fashion. And it's basically an old fashioned, but with Cardenxe de Desierto instead of bourbon.
Interesting.
And that's delicious. That is a delicious mix.
Awesome. I will have to give that one a try. Whiskey and bourbon are kind of my go-tos these days. And I guess, the last question might be the most important question is, how can folks find your product?
Yeah, you can find it. Well, you can find it online for sure on our website, cardengexesotol.mx, or on our through Instagram, of course. You could, if you are in New York or in Texas or in Miami or in LA, you can find it in select stores. If you could DM us and we'll let you know where. But definitely, on our website online, I know for the Christmas season, everybody's super busy. Holiday season, you want to just get stuff delivered. We deliver all over the US. So that's simple. And we also have now live subscriptions where you can get your Cardenxe fix monthly or bi-monthly, which is exciting.
I like it. And like you said, a third one that should be coming online in 2023 as well. So plenty to look forward to. And Luigi, this is very interesting because, like I said, I poured myself a little bit of both, and it's not what you expect because I haven't had, like you said, it's a totally different thing from tequila and mezcal. It's very unique, and the two versions are unique then in themselves, which makes it kind of fun to have folks try and probably obviously have a little fun with some cocktails too.
Mm-hmm. Indeed. And I would say, go ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say the drinking experience is also different. The Sierra for me is much more of either I have an aperitif with it, or I use it as a digestif after dinner, Sotol de la Sierra. But Desierto for me, it's an all night drinking, With that, I can just, have several cocktails on the rocks that can go well with that. I don't know what the laws are about promoting drinking. We're not promoting drinking at all.
Drink responsibly. Drink responsibly always, no matter where. But I love the story behind this brand and what you were able to do, combining music and drinks. And like I always say, drinks bring people together. Music brings people together. It's a perfect combination, I think. And you also get to promote and save possibly a little bit of history with a music genre and a liquor that might have gone by the wayside to so many. And I appreciate you sharing that story with us.
No, of course. No, I appreciate you letting me recount it and having me on your show.
Find more from Hops and Spirits at hopspirits.com.
Thanks, everybody. Bye.